Dear Ignited Souls, oh, I've got some more news, but before I tell you, I want to make sure that you've got your fork and ready to dig in deep some more because I am ready to dig in deep some more. Okay, so I have been chatting with Aaron. It looks like Aaron's going to be sticking around for a while because I really kind of like him. And so if you're watching this for the first time, okay, Aaron is, yes, Aaron who actually well, it may be hard to understand, but there's like no death and everything is like infinite. And it's the way he showed up as well. Well, I'll go into that another time. But I have been chatting with Aaron. Aaron is the high priest who actually escorted Moses to the promised land and the children of Israel to the promised land. So I think he was a high priest anyway. But he was the one, of course, who was able to articulate the words and really speak to the people because Moses had he had a problem with his speech. He had a speech impediment. If I said that, perhaps I'm a little bit like him right now. Oh my, oh no. I think I really want to be like Aaron because he speaks really nice and he's got such humor, he's got such pass, and he's like really, just really, really, oh, really good. And so, and I feel I could learn a lot through him. So I'm really hoping he sticks around for a while. Anyway, I had this conversation with him, and it's all about, of course, he's told me about his conversation with God in heaven and how, God has really now, it's like God has really got him talking numbers. And I think that's why, because I have an interest in numbers, that he's come through me and, having this conversation with me. And he's come, and I really like that because some things that I find a little bit, you know, daunting to talk about, and he makes things easier. So anyway, I hope you've got your fork, and let's just dive into this deliciousness because it's really palatable, having wonderful food and wonderful conversation. Awesome. So, I don't know if you've watched a couple of the videos where I have had or been in conversation with Aaron, and I just wanted to clarify some points with his experience with Moses crossing the going to Egypt, more or less. Now, he has explained so eloquently that death and life is really the flip side of each other, and I knew that as well in some sense, but there is something different about when someone tells you something in a way that you hadn't quite seen before, and that makes it like sink in even more because now I'm priming my mind with numbers and how I think. And that's why I'm sharing this with you because I'm really wanting you to prime your mind, because the path that we are on, according to him, that Aaron, that we are going to need that. It's because words are being taken out, and they are taken out or in a way that we do not speak to each other as we used to. It's all about the finger. And Aaron now is trying to teach us that instead of giving all our power away to the phone, in that way, we need to remember how to use the finger as well. So, of course, we have done the numerical value for the word finger, and that is five. And that's what he wants to remind us about the number five, to use and engage all our senses to be able to bring about the desire that we want, because otherwise we can't create man in our image after our likeness. And that's the message I think is really pressing home. So I'm thinking, well, that all makes sense. And especially, I have a lot of fives in my date of birth and in my makeup. And I had been trying to make sense of that, but it all makes sense. In fact, if you tell me something that makes sense to me around five, I will happily grab it. And that's what's happening. I think that's why, as well, I have such affinity to Mother Eve, who equals 14, and 1 plus 4 is 5. And so I also like the fact that he really stresses that message that Mother Eve is key. So when he told me that, and sorry to repeat that, but it's again, when you hear something in a different way, doesn't it really make sense? So when he says the word key, and he tell me, well, work it out, and he says, it's almost, you could say some keys really shaped like a five as well, but it's 257, and adding this together is 14, just like Mother Eve equals 14. So I said, yeah, I understand that. Now, but the thing that I really wanted him to explain, so how the relationship, the connection with him and Moses, because we're talking numbers. So of course, Moses, we had done this, and Moses turned out to be 8. Right. And if we did the numerical value, really, it would be 17 to be exact. And 1 plus 7 is 8. So when we do the numerical value for Aaron, that was really funny because he is 22. And of course, I'm not going to do all the numbers now because, it would be repeating too many things. But when we did that, he was 22. And then, of course, 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, we hadn't covered it in that way, but now he really is telling me, he really is telling me, well, look at 4 and see what 4 means in that way. And I'm thinking, well, 4 is foundation, 4 pillars, 4 seasons, 4 gospels. And I'm telling him all about 4 limbs, 2 arms and 2 legs. And I'm saying all this. And he's saying, well, there you go. And that's what he's saying I represent. That's what he's saying to me as a master. That's his master number, or his expression number is a master number. I'm thinking, wow, that is really a gift. And that as well told me, yeah, that he had to, by all means, had to do something very phenomenal. And then he reminds me, yes, that we are in 2020 and these 2 2s, that something very phenomenal is happening. I thought, oh my, that makes total sense when he says, and of course, he had me to do the numerical value of 22, but I did it in the format of 2, 2. And of course, that became 13, 13. 13, 13, of course, 1 plus 3 is 4, and then we had 4 fours. So I mean, he's really good at numbers as well, so I have to really try and keep up. I'm just hoping that I could really just grasp everything he's saying as he says it, or even, and perhaps one day I'll just be doing this all telepathically with him, and it'll be even more fun to be bam, bam, bam. I think it's going to be like that actually. So basically, he says, okay, and then I saw, well, 4 plus 4 is 8. And that's how he showed me the relationship with him and Moses. I think that makes perfect sense. Another thing that I hadn't really taken into consideration, because I love to do that, if we're talking numbers, well, how many letters in the word Moses? And I saw 5. I thought, that is synchronicity. That really is not by chance. And we are talking about Mother Eve here. And it's no wonder there's an M here that also comes like a 3 and like an E and so on. So I think the word Moses, or the name Moses, also did carry a lot of vibration, even in the letters itself, because I love to look at the first and last letter. And I told him that, and he says, yes, you should. And it's fine because it really tells you a lot of information. So I look at the M and I say, yeah, because you can have an M and you can have an E, a free, and you can have an E and you can have a W. And he says, well, yes, that is the 8-petal flower, which coincides with 8. Now I'm beginning to understand, well, why Moses really had to break the 8. It's like breaking an egg because it's really whole. And you can see as well, 8 is like the symbol of infinity. So I understood all that. But I wanted to understand even a little bit more. Okay, we have seen how this M here associates with Mother Eve. We can also say the S at the end is like her signature. And she says, it's like saying that's my boy here, you know. And I thought, oh, that's really delicious. But the other thing that I thought, when he said to me, okay, so add those two eights together, I thought, okay, that comes to 16. And I really wanted to cover that. I thought, that's great. So basically, he has showed me that he's Aaron. The other thing he did as well, where he showed me that God, 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 that he went to heaven and had this conversation with God, and he had 764, and adding this together was 17. Now I'm just really wondering. I know he hasn't told me like outright, and I said it means that anyone with 17, you could say, so they are God then. And he says, mm-hmm, okay. I thought, okay, right. But then it reminded me that Jesus Christ said in the scriptures in the New Testament something like, oh, isn't it said that ye are gods? So all that makes sense, you know. And I thought, okay, perhaps he didn't want me to get too big headed because I have an 8 life path number, which really comes into exactly 17 as well. I think it might have been that. I'm giving you all this information. So, but what I feel he's also really letting on as well, just like in the number one, he's really saying that, you know, of course, as I say, the number one. And that's why he's saying to me, yes, it's good to look at the first, particularly the first number or first two. And when you have this, that is really indicative that you are going to do something phenomenal in this world. It's going to be very transformable or transformative to people who have this, and people around them, they're going to leave a mark on the earth. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I can see that. And of course, we have covered that with the S's as well. Now, there's another thing he told me. In fact, he told me so many things, and I'm trying to really bring this across to you. He also told me, oh, look at the two S's in Moses. And he said, I said, okay. And he says, well, what does that mean to you? I says, well, it's the serpent. And he's saying to me, yeah, there's two serpents. And he's saying, but there were two creations. And I said, oh my, that makes perfect sense. Now, he's also saying to me, this is why here he says that they use this sign as the dollar, because the dollar is like the serpent. And not only that, he says that the two S's together, when they put them together, and he says, or like two, and he's in fact he asked me, he says, where have you seen the two S's together, or like the two serpents? And I said, well, that is the caduceus. And he says, well, yes, because that is the symbol of medicine. And I thought, oh, so Moses actually really mean medicine in that sense. And he says, well, I think you're beginning to get it, because when he says beginning to get it, and we are talking about the number 8 with Moses, and it also reminded me that Mother Eve ate of the fruit, and the word ate equals 8. I'm thinking, well, what's different? Is there anything different at all? Because it just sounds like the same story repeating itself over and over again. I am just like so excited. Okay. So I just had to plug this in and really the battery, so to really get this message going. So great. And so Moses, yeah, then he said to me, okay, well, you know, I want you to, yeah, think about its medicine. And I thought, yeah, but that's what I see in the pharmacies, the signs everywhere. That's the medicine. So he says, well, what does that tell you? I say, well, it means that the serpent, who is Mother Eve, is really the medicine that we need right now. And he says, oh, you get it. I thought this sounds like this is really amazing. And I thought, okay, so how are we going to do this? But I have an idea already, but I just really wanted to hear what he had to say about this. And he's saying, well, it is about the divine feminine, the earth. He says, people need to really learn to get grounded a bit more. And, I thought because the ground is really like the mother that's giving, you plant food and, and you do all those things in the earth, and she's the mother and you need to honor her. And I says, well, how else we can do that? And he says, well, it's very important to build your relationships with any female, or even with your the feminine aspect in yourself. I thought, wow. So are you talking about loving yourself? I said, exactly. I thought that's really great because, of course, I think what he was really saying is that there had been a time, or the time passed, that we have been giving a lot of energy and time to the masculine energy or divine masculine. And now he's saying it's about the divine feminine, divine feminine, divine feminine. He keeps saying that. And I could hear him keep saying that. And I'm thinking, well, that makes sense. That really makes perfect sense. There were so many things he said about that. It's just really engaging with Aaron is really like so delicious. I mean, it's just so delicious. So another thing when he said to me, okay, well, add the two eights together. And I thought, okay, and that came to 16. But then another thing, of course, coming to 16, and 1 plus 6 is 7. So he told me, okay, that's 7. What does it signify to you? I said, of course, it's creation. But I also remember that it is the serpent. That was really, that's like crazy information. I'm thinking, well, how am I going to contain all this information? But please tell me, I'm like, tell me more, tell me more. Okay, so he said 16. And then, okay, he says, all right, well, write down the word 16. And I don't, 16? Okay, what does it come to? This is 15. And 15, 16, 17. I thought, okay, 17 plus 6 would be 23, and 9 is 32, and 1 32, that would be 33. And I think I might have done this, so I'm going to double check. So this is 15 here, and this is 6. I know is 7 anyway. 7, 8, 9. So let's just do it this way, and that's 14, and that's 24. So 2 plus 4 is 6. I think we did get that. Okay, so I'm just, yeah. So he said to me, well, do this. Oh, and I thought, okay, so if it's 24, then that is 6. And then he says, okay, what does 6 mean to you? I said, well, 6 days of creation. We went back to creation. That's when man was created on the 6th day. And I don't know why, because I don't clearly remember that it was 16 when he asked me about this, but I'm feeling that I need to do this again. So basically we had 7 here, and 15, 16, 17. So 17 is 8. And I'm just, yeah. So this is 15 and not 16. So because he was telling me so many things, and I felt I really want to make sure that I'm getting everything right. And that's why I am checking things over and over, just to make sure that I'm accurate and dead on. So 3 5s are 15. Let's do it like this. So, and this is 6, and this is 9, and this is 1. So this is 10. This is much easier. This is 20, and this is 25, and this would be 31, 32, 33. So it is 33, which is 6. Now, so basically, the thing that I get from this, when he was talking, and he says, well, what is Genesis? And that's when it really sank in. So basically, when we do the numerical value for Genesis, because what he's saying, it was like a Genesis when they went to Egypt. It was a new creation, a new thing, a new people. They were going to be a new people, because that's why it's like God was really like getting tired of them. They were mourning, and God didn't want them to mourn anymore. He wanted them to just trust that everything would be okay. I think God wanted to teach them about intuition, which is another language that Aaron says that we really must get ourselves into. Yeah, and I think that makes sense. So 7555, and it's just like all the fives in 16 as well. And he was saying, whenever I see three fives like this, which I felt already, and I've said that on presentations, that Mother Eve is very present. So I said, okay. And so that was cool. So this is 10, 20, and this is 32, 33. So Genesis is also 33. Now another thing he says to me, how, think of 33. And I said, okay, what do you know about 33? I said, oh, but Christ died at 33. And I thought, oh my, so this makes perfect sense. So here we have these two eights, which of course when we do the numerical value for the word 20, it comes to 8. So we have 2020. So that means we have two eights. And it's no wonder there was two eating in the Garden of Eden. So Mother Eve ate and gave to her husband Adam, who also ate. Can we see the correlation? Can we really see it? And when he was explaining all this, I was thinking, I know I kind of like, well, I like to think that I kind of could work it out, but it's like it sank at a deeper level that I'm thinking, wow, this is really like creation each time over and over. So it happened basically in the Garden of Adam of Eden. It happened on the Exodus to Egypt. It's happening here again. And I'm sure, I believe that it happened with Abraham too, because Abraham is also eight. And I would really like to really investigate on that as well. Oh my, this is so delicious. And now he's reminding me to breathe. Yeah, so delicious. Okay, so I'm really really loving this. So he said 16. Of course, when we add 16 as the symbol, the numerical values like this, 1 plus 6, that comes to 7. And of course, then he reminds me again, well, do the numerical value for 7. And of course, 7 is 20. Then he then Aaron reminds me as well, 20, and as he said, well, when you do the word death, he says, that is 20, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 8. I said yes. And he says, okay, when you do the word rock, like this is where he said, Christ said to Peter, upon you I will build that rock. But upon you, upon this church, I will build my rock. So we believe that he meant Peter was the rock or the church, because Peter was very, he didn't mess around to take someone's hair off, and there are 22 on here. So here we have 9, 6, 3, 2, and adding this together, 15, 20. And then we have south. He says to me, well, where do you plant? When someone dies, usually we know that they get buried, because that's what. Okay, he wanted to remind me, like well, Christ got buried, so that is, maybe some people get cremated, and it would be interesting to do the word cremated to see if that will come to 20 as well. But basically we're saying, okay, well, it's like you go down like 6 foot. And that's another thing. He said to me, what about this thing with 6 foot? Where do you think that comes from? What law do you think has been imposed that someone should get buried, and by law 6 feet? They dig the grave 6 feet, and I said, wow, that makes sense, because it's like you come out as 33, which is 6, and you're going, basically you're going into that 6 again. And it's everything is just was making sense. So anyway, he says, okay, do this south, and I then 1, and of course he's saying, when it's south, remember that Mother Eve was there. That's when she was cast to the ground. I said, oh yeah. And then it's yeah, it's just funny, the things he makes me think of. And then I saw, okay, well, that is really 20. And these 20s are just coming like that. And he told me so many more words or things as well, he says, that I could think of and to see that it really adds up to 20. Now, the other thing that I really wanted to really get a grip on as well is like, to really see how, well, how did he now connect with Mother Eve as being 5 and 14. Well, he said, well, he was the key to the kingdom. I said, okay, well, key, that is really, that makes sense because the leader is the key. Interesting. Let's just do the numerical value for the word leader. Leader. Or like a ladder. A leader is like a ladder as well. Okay, so it's 351 459, and this is 9918. This is 24. 24 plus 3 is 27. So I think here, what I'm getting, and I could hear him telling me this as well. This is really saying that's the two sets of the 14. That's the two sets of gods, two sevens. He says, get it, two sevens, a 14, and he says, remember the mathematical signs are there to be used, And I says, okay. And he also says that if you add it, it would be 9. And he says, of course, 9 is like saying you have gone the whole 9 miles, this is completion when you are ready to birth into something else. So no matter how you look at it, it is really a wonderful message here. And he's saying, of course, look at 9 as a leader, but what is in the middle of 9? 5. Okay. So I felt that was really good. And I'm just getting some he's just telling me, okay, go over his name again as Aaron and really look at it. And so that would help me to make better sense of who he is. And so I'm thinking, okay, I think that's really coming through the middle letter because we just done 9. And that's why he's saying, go on, have a look at his name and really make sense of it. And I'm thinking, well, that makes sense because 9, actually, when we do the numerical value, because this is a numerical value of 9, and it says when we do the numerical value for 9, it is 5955. Adding this together, he says 1524, 2 plus 4, which we had before as well. 2 plus 4, it's like saying the 24 hours of the day. That's what he was also saying as well in 24. And so, or two fours, 8 as well. And so 2 plus 4 is 6. And there we have the new creation, a new people, 6 days of creation. So, and again, if we did a numerical value for the word 6, that would give us 7. So we see that there definitely was a creation happening right here. Oh, Aaron is just so sweet. I'm just really loving, and I'm just hoping that this union is going to really, we do that, don't we? Instead of just going along with the thing, because with a relationship, it's like being in love and you start thinking, oh, I hope we stay together forever and ever, instead of just enjoying the ride or enjoying the process. So now, thank you. I get it. So I'm just enjoying this now. So there were other things Aaron was saying as well about the Red Sea. He's telling me, well, have a look at the Red Sea before you really go, Red Sea. And I don't know why, but I'm going along with it. And so this is 5 and 4. And I know red is 9, 9 plus 9. I know this, but C is 5, 6, 7. So this is another thing he's saying. Add this together. This also comes to 16. And this is what we are having. So he's basically telling me that everything was so coinciding perfectly. So the Red Sea is also meaning that the two eights coming together and forming 16. 16 right here. And when we did the numerical value for 16, did it come to to I think it was 24. Let's just do it again. So do it again so it stays in my mind. Okay, so it's 5 5 5 2 6 9 1. So this is 10 20 20, 31, 33, exactly. And then I could hear him saying, well, you do know a lot of other 33s. And I said, well, yes, okay, Christ did die at 33. And he said, yes, and this is the sixth And he's also, wow, he's also saying to me, well, you have, he's reminding me of a list of words that I did that really comes to 33, like the word believe. Even the word policeman, actually, or police, is 33. The word believe, the word uh, people is 33, person is 33, and there were so many more. I can see believe right now, and but he really was telling me that I need to like pay attention to those things, and I will then understand the number language even better. So I feel like that is really wonderful, and I hope you have enjoyed this as well. I really do hope that you found this really enjoyable. I will still like to know a little bit more about Moses, especially about him having the same numerical value as God. I think God was really saying, I think I get it now. It's like God is saying, um, ah, there's something again he's telling me to really look at, but I feel we need to look at this in another presentation, because this might go on much longer, because we need to look at the burning bush and what it signifies, the sandals and so on, and really Mount Sinai and so on, and then we'll get a fuller flavor. But really what Aaron is saying, that the demarcation of the children moving into a new land, it's like they had to relearn. So it's like to deprogram them, and that's what it was about. So they were having all this um uh whether it was flies and all sorts of things, just to really get their attention to focus on something that was better for them. And so it was a lot of deprogramming. And this is what he's saying that we need to do right now, to really deprogram our minds, but make sure that we are reprogramming our minds with wonderful things. Oh, thank you, Aaron. I am just so grateful and thankful. And this meal has been so delicious. I hope you have enjoyed it just as much as I have. Well, my wonderful people, and do hope that you share this meal with other people. Share, like, and subscribe, and stay ignited.